Hey, everybody, welcome to Love and Reload, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I am so excited right now. We are in Boston. We are right outside of the Expo Hall doors at the Worldwide ERC Global Workforce Symposium here in Boston. People are filtering in right now to Expo Hall. It's exciting. I think this is everybody's favorite part of the conference. And I'm joined here live with David Pasco from Cardis. Hey, David, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How about you?
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's great to have you here. Thanks for opening the show today on day one of the ERC conference. I'm so excited. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, there's a lot of energy. This year, a lot of time and effort's gone in to make this a really kind of groundbreaking event. Definitely to look to attract a lot more corporate organizations this year.
Yeah, the corporate attendance has been phenomenal.
And I think that's really evident in every way you go. So I think that's been a huge success.
It's been huge. I think they reported the numbers this morning. They're saying 1,400, registered attendees. A large percentage of those are corporate. I looked, there's a huge corporate roundtable going on earlier. There's been a lot of corporates at the first time attendees meeting and everything. So it's pretty phenomenal. Before we get into all the things that we want to talk about today, and my voice is going already because the parties and all the fun stuff, and we're shouting over each other at these tables and everything. But get in the comments. I want to know who you are, where you are. Hit that like button right now. Let us know you're out there. If you got any problems hearing us or anything, if the internet's glitching or whatever, let us know, because we're here at the Heinz Convention Center in downtown Boston, making it all work, trying to bring the conference to you out there. So get in the comments. Let us know what's going on. Here we go. There we go. We're getting it, making it happen here. Milton Hilliard logging in. What's up, Ben? Milton from USAID. What's going on, Milton? David Yakum. Coleman Allied in the house. This is fantastic. David, you were on a panel earlier. It was fantastic.
Thank you.
It was you. Susan was on the panel. Catherine Cassidy was on the panel. Mark Bennett was on the panel. Incredible. Asking about, what RMCs we're looking at and what kind of the state of the industry is right now. Why don't you give us a little overview from your perspective? I know you have a UK perspective, yep. but also as Cardis. I mean, what are you seeing?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think one of the main themes that we touched on this morning was this kind of industry recession being driven kind of by a corporate recession. And this is being felt, I think, the most in the US. I mean, US domestic moves. I mean, internationally, whilst there have been some impact, not as greatly impacted. So I think all eyes are on what's going to happen with this kind of, macro climate that's happening here in the US with so many of the clients that we work with are US headquartered. So, some impact in terms of moves in and out of the US, but I would say, intra-EMEA moves and intra-APAC moves in particular, we've seen actually kind of a bit of a spike in that area. So it's kind of not all gloom and doom, but there is definitely, there's definitely a challenge at the moment in terms of the activity and when things may get back to normal.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what you're seeing out there. If you're watching this right now, get in the comments here. Super producer Adam, if you could bring some of the comments on. I'm only getting a portion of them, Adam. So if you could bring some of the comments out, that'd be awesome. But we'll check those out. I got questions for you, David, about that as well. Farrell saying, hey, from Boston, love the excitement. Can't wait to see what is to come. Yes, Farrell. Stephanie Beavers here. Hello from Columbus and Chase Real Home Lending. Yes, the Chase event last night was amazing. I thought it was interesting because our keynote speaker, Heather McGowan, was talking a little bit about this, and some other folks have been talking about the fact that we're hearing that there might be a recession for corporations, but it's not necessarily being reflected at the individual level because they have some cash still kind of left over from this free money environment. But maybe the corporations are feeling the pinch in a different way.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think apart from the industries that have been definitely impacted, which have been widely reported in the as mature as you may have, may have gleaned from this morning. So yeah.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how we kind of find ways to develop this and, and really deploy it and see it, in a meaningful way. I worry a little bit that we have a bit of an over reliance. By the way, we got our video feedback. So, I mean, that's got to be a celebration. Shout out to super producer Adam, who's got, an antenna and 2 tin cans up in the air, like trying to make this internet thing happen right here.
Yeah. I also think, we went, a few years ago, everyone assumed that everybody wanted self-serve and they only wanted to interact with technology and they didn't want a human anymore. Well, we stepped back from that pretty quickly when that didn't prove to be true.
I don't feel like feel like that's the case. I mean, as a business owner, as a customer of relocation, as a consumer, I don't see that to be the case. I mean, I get on the phone immediately, and the first thing I do is I hit 0 because I want to talk to a person.
Yep.
Right. I mean, so I really want to get to the person as fast as possible.
Yep. And I think that's the key. I mean, we've spent a lot of time understanding that we've got a lot of different generations and a lot of different, interaction preferences. And I think the key is certainly at this point in time, you need to kind of have like an channel, so whole different ways of being able to interact with people. You can't assume that everyone who's, a new hire or an intern or a grad doesn't want to interact with a human. It's just not been our experience.
It's kind of preposterous, and I worry that we've kind of over-indexed on that and lost our way a little bit there. This is great. We got Jillian checking in. Hey, from Boston. Come stop by and see us live in action. Thanks, Jill. Appreciate you, Jill. We got Team Glomo in the house here. This is fantastic. We brought 6 people here for us. I mean, that's how important it was to be here. Cardis is here in full force here. How many folks have y'all brought out here?
I reckon we've probably got close to 30 people here.
30 people. God bless you. That's a lot of coin right there. I mean, obviously investing in the future here. Another thing that happened this morning was a new branding was unveiled, and I'm seeing some new shirts. So we're it looks like, I mean, from what I gleaned, it kind of feels like we're moving away from the worldwide ERC tagline into WERC, which some people are calling just work. I kind of like it.
Well, that's the idea, and it will,
it will work.
It will work.
There's so many plays.
The brand, the brand rollout will be over. The full brand rollout will be over the next few weeks and months.
Okay.
So this really is just an initial. Have a look at the logo, but the intention is there's nothing wrong with saying worldwide ERC, but we absolutely positively believe that it will transgress into work.
And it's about working everywhere.
Exactly.
And I think that's really kind of a cool interpretation because, we've been tied to this word relocation for some time, but yet people have been really trending towards global mobility.
Yep.
And how that includes so many more services and ways we support employees as they move on a more temporary, basis, and talks about more like compliance and immigration. Where do you see the growth in the relocation and global mobility space?
That's a good question, and
if you can answer that, by the way, you win tens of millions of dollars.
Okay,
so
I'll hold you to that. I think one of the areas where we're definitely seeing growth, and it's not just hypothetical, is, and you touched on it, where a lot of organizations are using short-term assignments versus long-term assignments.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the hybrid and remote work that's now kind of a permanent feature for a lot of organizations. And those areas were historically kind of managed by HR because they were pretty small. Now they're kind of big populations. A lot of organizations' workforces are all being deemed as mobile. It's not just, 10% who are on the expat program.
Mm.
And I think the products and the technology needed to track those specific employees from a compliance perspective, to your point, PE, establishment, immigration, tax, social security, all of those things. And of course, now that it's becoming a headache, I've definitely seen the trend that those populations are being handed over to the mobility leads and saying, hey, you should be managing these with relocation. So that's definitely something that we've seen as a growth area, and I think it will continue.
It feels like the suite of services that we sell has got to change and to mature.
Yep. No, I agree. And they've definitely got to support and service, not just physical relocation. I mean,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
I mean, it can't be all wrapped around. Somebody said this on the panel today. It can't be all wrapped around, you know, home sale, household goods, and corporate housing. We have to find other ways to monetize the value that we impart to organizations.
Yep. No, I agree. I mean, one of the, the term was kind of soft. One of the terms we've seen is, providing training for line managers to make sure that they're providing inclusive opportunities for employees. So not making assumptions that someone won't move because of their family situation, not making assumptions that someone doesn't want to go on assignment. So a lot of the training products that we're developing are helping with that, that unconscious bias that potentially, stops people having opportunities. So that really ties back into what I touched on a little bit this morning, which is I think we can also help significantly support our clients' DE&I and their environmental sustainability, strategies. Yep.
Well, and Cardis has been kind of out front on that. I remember, not too long ago, you hired I think it was a director of DE&I to go consult.
Yep, that's correct.
Right? And,
Lisa Johnson.
Yeah,
yep.
Lisa's phenomenal, great, very well respected global mobility professional. I've known Lisa for many years. I think it's a phenomenal addition to the team and the portfolio. And
I will just tell you that Lisa started her career at Carter's, so she's actually returned to us.
Oh, she's a boomerang employee.
She is a boomerang
We
employee.
love those. That's great. That's fantastic. It's a great talent strategy. David Pasco, this has been phenomenal. Do you want to leave us maybe with just a final thought maybe we should be considering?
I would say, and this kind of ties in with the main session this morning. I think, this industry has not been quick to change over the last 10 years. There is so much change coming. And I would just say everyone needs to embrace it and not be afraid of it.
Yeah, I love it. Don't be afraid of change. I love it. Well, with that, we're going to change our guests. Now, David, you've been phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Get in the comments here. Hit that like button. See you later, buddy.
Okay.
And we've got more folks coming on today. We're going to be on for 2 hours today. 2 hours. We've got Patricia Tavares coming on. We got David Altman, Faye Hawksworth, Heather Jameson, Hosea Botley, Anadita Chaudhary. And there she is. Here she is, the queen of South America, of Brazil, of South America, Patricia Tavares from K2 Corporate Mobility. Also, Brazil Talks. Also, Latam Talks. A lot of talking.
Yeah, a lot of talking, and also a mother.
Oh,
and a wife.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Just a few things that I do.
That's a lot. Oh my gosh.
So happy to be here with you, Ben. Yeah.
Oh
it's been long since we actually saw each other, right?
In real life. This is
real
fantastic.
Life. This is amazing.
What is it about in real life that's so important?
Well, for us Latins, the Latinos, the touch.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly. And being able to hug and being able to give you a big kiss and everything. Yeah, amazing.
Or 2 kisses sometimes,
two
depending
kisses,
on what
on
part of the
side.
country where the world we're in. I mean, we like that.
That's amazing. I love that. I really love that.
It's so when you tell people like I just want to go touch people, you're like, whoa, easy. But no, there's something to be communicated. Well, I heard somebody say one of my favorite things I've been thinking about is 70% of communication is nonverbal, right?
Body language.
Yeah. And when we talk, I mean,
definitely.
the care that you feel when somebody gives you a little pat on the back or a hug or something like that.
Yeah, and I think we suffered so much during the pandemic where we couldn't touch anybody.
Yeah.
Right? That now the possibility of actually being able to come up and say, hi, Ben, how are you?
Something happens to me inside. When you pat me on the arm like that, I get a little, No, you do. And then, of course, you spend 3 days doing that, right? And you feel like you're just on a cloud 9 when you leave here. But a lot of us, I think we like to try to trick ourselves that we can do all this remotely and we never have to come together. And all this could be a Zoom meeting or whatever, right?
Which is definitely not true.
It's not
We
true.
need to see the eye to eye. You need to read the body language. You need to be there. You need to touch people. You need to be in contact with people. It's different when you talk to somebody or when you talk through Zoom. It's not the same thing.
Well, and I think it's evidence. I mean, I'll be honest with you. How many webinars are put on out there? I know I put on a bunch. You put on a bunch.
Yep.
Worldwide ERC puts on a bunch as well, right? And I don't go to a lot of them, but I spend $2,000 to come here because of the in-person experience.
Yeah, me too.
you know.
Me too. I think it's different. We just had a regional summit in Brazil, which was really good and everything, but it's not the same thing as being here. So I think the value of coming to the Worldwide ERC is exactly being able to see so many people. For me that lived here 5 years ago, 6 years ago, seeing all the colleagues and people that I had met before, being able to understand. Some people change companies, or others are still in the same company, but you catch up, you know what's happening in the world, in our community, which I think is important. Our global mobility community.
Community is everything, and trust is so important. The keynote speaker this morning, Heather McGowan, she talked about trust, and it really, really, really brought things into a perspective for me. She said everything is a souvenir of trust. And trust is built when you're in person.
Yes.
And I love it. Let me add.
And along with trust comes reliability, right?
Oh, yeah.
When you trust somebody, you know that you can count with that person always.
Well, how important is that too? When I'm sitting over here in the U.S. and you're sitting in Brazil, if I send you a household goods shipment, or I send a transferee to you in your care, I can't like blindly, like it helps to know who the other person on the other end of that transaction is. So God forbid something happens, or if we need to calibrate expectations or what have you, I can call you up and say, Patricia, I really need you to take care of this VIP for me, and I know that you're gonna,
it's gonna be in good hands, and I'm gonna take extra care, even because you sent it to me. I'm gonna let you know what's happening, give you an update of everything. So we need that. Right? We need to have that.
So let's talk about Brazil. What's happening down in Brazil? What's happening in South America? Can you give us some perspective from the Southern Hemisphere?
So we're starting to go into summer, right?
Okay.
The whole of South America, right? So it's a busy season for us, just as busy it is for you, right?
Okay.
We have some challenges with currencies as usual in South America.
What are some of those challenges like with currencies?
Well, for example, Argentinian peso, right? Argentinian peso is devaluating daily.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So it's something that you really have to understand how to deal with it. Can you charge something in Argentinian pesos?
So what do you do if you can't? I mean, do you transact in another currency?
You transact either normally in dollars, right? And you try to transact out of the country also.
U.S. dollars.
Yeah, U.S. dollars.
And out of the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if not, it's very difficult to work there. Then you have the situation in the countries where you have some countries are really not that well, right? Some countries are having elections, so everything changes around election period. You have new immigration laws that are taking longer to get visas into the countries. So lots happening down there.
What are some of the more challenging spots right now? What are some of the bigger challenges?
I would say this is my personal opinion. Okay, I think Argentina is one of the challenging places because of everything. Venezuela is a different country, a difficult country also, even because you can't get that much documentation, for example. Even to renew a visa, sometimes it's hard to get the documentation if it's expired, for example. So you have those challenges also.
Nice.
And then you have the islands, right, in the Central America also, that are sometimes a little bit harder to get things working there.
Yeah, very interesting. I love that perspective because, especially in the States, right, we get so, inundated in our own stuff, so it's good to get the perspective. I want to take just a moment and talk about the amazing, inspiring work that you're doing with Brazil Talks and Latam Talks. Can you talk a little bit about the movement that's happening?
It's a big movement.
It's a movement.
It? Yeah.
It is the way you have built community in Brazil, and then the way that you have now doubled down on that and said, you know what? We're going to continue to spread this community into Latam. I got to ask you, first tell people a little bit about Brazil Talks and Latam Talks.
So Brazil Talks came up during the pandemic because we needed to talk and to share everything that was happening during the pandemic, how to work with the assignees, what corporates needed to do, or how corporates should try to do it, because it wasn't nothing definitive, right? And even for the vendors also. So how do I work, for example, with a family that's split because somebody got stuck in China and couldn't leave the country, but my family is here in the beginning. So that's how it actually began, right? It was just an idea of sharing information.
So you were really getting into real world scenarios.
Yeah, we had to. Yeah. That was what brought us to it, right? Then once the pandemic calmed down, I'm not going to say it ended, but once it calmed down, it was like, and now what do we do, right? And then the people started coming back to us and saying, can you talk about this? Can you bring this subject? Can you bring somebody to explain tax equalization, for example? Or can you bring a mover in to tell me what's happening with the documentation on customs clearance? And that's how it actually started growing. And then we had the idea of doing one event in Spanish so that people from LATAM could participate. And that's where LATAM
So you went from doing in Portuguese first to then saying, okay, let's broaden this up to the rest of the continent.
To the rest of the continent. And so now we have LATAM Talks. Now, 2 years of LATAM Talks and 3 years of Brazil Talks.
Incredible.
Can you believe it? Yeah, it's amazing.
How has the need in the community evolved over that time? I want to know what kind of growth have you seen and what changes have you seen?
We saw different types of presentations, for example. Just webinars are not good enough. They want more information. They use our site, for example, for articles. They go for podcasts. They send us themes that they want us to talk about. So that's really cool because you're doing something that the people want, right?
How do you engage with the community and build that community? I mean, it's one of the questions here at ERC even is about creating community and building community. I think it's something that we've done. I think it's something you do incredibly well. I mean, how does one really go about building community in the way that you've done it?
That's one of the hardest things is to keep the community together, right? So we try to do it, bringing them in, having them tell us what they want to talk about, what they want us to talk about. We try to do interactive sessions. So we did one, for example, the last one we did on LATAM, we did on 5 different countries with breakout rooms on Zoom. So you had less people in the room. You had the people being able to interact with the speaker.
I like it.
And that was it was a different thing. And now they're coming back and saying, can you do one like that on immigration? Can you do one like that on customs clearance and those kind of things? So we bring them into our community. They have the chance to talk to us anytime. They have all our contacts. They have the social media on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, everything. So they reach out to us through whatever is more comfortable to them. That's how I try to keep the community together.
I love it. I like the fact that you're playing with different formats and different structures.
Because we're trying to call their attention, right? To make sure that doesn't get boring.
We can't keep doing
webinars.
The same thing.
We can't do webinars the whole time.
I mean, seriously, if I go into a webinar and I know that I'm never going to be called on or you're not taking questions from me, I'm going to literally put it on in the background. I'm going to start checking email. I'm going to kind of check out in a way.
Yeah. So I think that one of the secrets is, for example, we reduce the webinar time. So 25 to 30 minutes, not more than that. Because nobody wants to stay an hour linked on, right? So
I make that mistake every day.
Right.
I do an hour and people are like,
you see?
We're doing 2 hours today. We're doing 2 hours.
No, the people don't stay. So we're doing 30 minutes at the max, 40 minutes, right? So that's one of the things we did. We started doing podcasts and webcasts. So it's there. People can see it anytime. It's there available for them. And now we tested this format with the breakout rooms, which really worked. So we're going to try to do it. And the secret, we're doing in-person events now. We can do in-person events.
What was that like, going from doing kind of virtual stuff to doing in person? Was that scary?
I'll tell you, the first one, I was scared. I was like, are these people going to come?
Are they even going to show up?
Is this really going to happen? What am I going to do? I had a box of masks there in case anybody wanted a mask to come in, because I didn't know what was going to happen.
When was that first one?
That was July last year.
Okay. July 2022.
And this year we have something very special. We're doing the first in-person Brazil Talks Awards.
Oh, wow.
So we have 4 different categories where the companies are being able to, or the professionals are being able to submit cases. We have a totally independent judging committee. The people that are in the judging committee, their companies cannot submit cases because of compliance. And we're going to do the awards ceremony in December, the 6th of December. Sorry.
Fabulous. What are some of the categories?
So we have one on ESG.
Okay.
We have a very different one, at least for us, on global mobility professionals. Tell us your story. How did you become a global mobility professional? What is different in your career and where you're planning to go? Right. The other one is on partnerships with between corporates and vendors.
Okay.
And the last one is on policies. What's different on your policy? What differs your policy from the other companies?
Yeah.
So
love it.
It's the only one that's only corporate. The other ones are for anyone.
I love it. Get in the comments. I want to hear from you. We've got some great guests coming up. We've got David Altman over there on deck right now, using a little baseball metaphor. Get in the comments. This is great. People are checking in from all over the world. I love this industry. Richard Majewski from London. Total FOMO, not in Boston. We miss you, Richard. Denise Katz, great ideas. Thank you for sharing. Louise Neal, we love you, Louise. Great show and good questioning. Even my husband said, what a talent to think on his feet. Louise, does he still have the Porsche? Let me know. I'm dying to know here. But did you see our time is kind of running out here?
That's fine. It always goes.
Loved being on your show, by the way.
I know we need to get you on the show
I
again.
would love it.
Yeah.
I've been brushing up on my Portuguese.
No, we can do it in English. Don't worry.
No, Jana always makes fun. Whenever I try to say something in Portuguese, Jana Sheznaski on my team always makes fun of me. She laughs at me. But anyway.
No, but we're going to get you on Latam and on Brazil
Talks.
Talks.
I would absolutely love it. I get to tell my family I'm kind of a big deal in Brazil, you know.
And you are. We're waiting for you there.
Oh, my gosh. I got to come.
Yep.
I got to come. But leave us with a final thought, Patricia, before you head out here. Anything on your mind these days?
I just think that I love global mobility. I think, and everybody that works with global mobility, I always say we're lucky to have a career.
Yes.
Because when you have a job and you just work 9 to 5, that's okay. But who works with global mobility is lucky because we love what we do. So it's not anything that bothers us.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
I mean, I complain sometimes about having to, I'm traveling so much. And I look around, I'm like, I can't complain.
No, exactly.
This
I
is
say
work.
The same
Are
thing.
you kidding me?
Yeah. Somebody just told me you came all the way from Brazil, and I said, "Of course, I wouldn't miss this."
All the hugs, kisses, handshakes, free drinks, beautiful food, amazing thoughts, and to open our minds.
Yeah, definitely.
It's incredible.
It is.
Patricia, it's such a pleasure and a blessing to be here with you. Get in the comments. I want to hear from you out there. This is fantastic. Oh, we got Toronto checking in. What's up, Olivia from Toronto?
Thank you so much for the invite and for the opportunity.
Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the expo hall back there.
We will.
Look at this. We got David Altman coming on. I see Michelle Moore here from NEI. Fantastic. True titans of our industry here. Come on over here, David. Bring it in here, buddy. Get a little closer here. It's so good to see you, man.
Good.
It's been a minute, dude.
Good.
It's been a minute. You were on, what was it, season 1 you came on and regaled me of tales of basketball and Westchester and whatnot. No, this is fantastic. It's great to see you, David. How you doing?
Thank you. Everything is going great.
Yeah, you having a good conference?
Oh yeah, lots of good sessions already. Learning a lot, good stuff.
You know, I saw you speak at a regional one time, and it was a tax thing. And I think the only reason I was in the room was because I couldn't find a chair anywhere else to sit. So I was like, all right, fine. I'm just gonna hunker down over here, drink a Coke and just kind of like check some email. And I'll be honest, you gave the most engaging tax talk that I'd ever heard, probably. And I was like, that guy's smart.
Thank you.
You make tax interesting. What is going on right now in the tax climate?
Great question. It's amazing what's going on right now at ERC. The talker now it's WERC. The rebate. Everything is WERC. WERC. The hottest issue in tax right now on WERC is in tax year 2026. They're supposed to bring back the moving expense deduction. And when
are they going to do it?
They're going to try.
Oh my God.
ERC's doing a great job lobbying it. Tristan North with ERC, he's trying really hard, calling all the legislature. But what this is all about is after 2017, they took away the deduction for the household goods, which can be $10, $20, $30, $40, $50, $60,000. And they also took away the deduction for the final move, which can definitely be 5 or 10. So when you add that up together for the average person, it's 20, 30, 40, 50,000. And because they took away that deduction, now companies have to gross it up.
So now they're paying the bill.
So the average gross up, this is costing companies is 20, 30,000 extra dollars.
Right.
So in 2026, if ERC or WERC is successful in getting this moving expense deduction reinstated, the average company will save tens of thousands of dollars per move on gross up. And what's kind of nice is last year, approximately 1 million people moved, approximately, maybe 300,000 or 400,000 were corporate, and maybe 500,000 or 600,000 were individuals, just people moving from one place to another. And that basically 1 million people, they generate about $1 billion of revenue to the IRS, $1 billion to $1.5 billion. And the gross up on that would be $3 billion. So if WERC is successful in bringing back this deduction, they will be saving corporate America those 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 moves over 1.5 to maybe up to $3 billion. So
Wow.
it's a big thing for corporate America. That's kind of the buzz right now in taxes here at WERC, is trying to bring back that moving expense deduction for 2026.
That would be huge.
It would be
and
nice.
I gotta think that would make companies a lot more eager to relocate people, because now they're saving. What percentage effectively would a relocation cost be cut?
As most people know, the most expensive part of a relocation is typically selling the old home. That's number one, without question.
Yep.
Number two these days is basically the gross up. And number three is the van line bill. Wow. So by allowing the van line bill to be deductible and not having to gross it up, you're talking the second and third largest cost categories would basically be going down significantly. So it's a really good news item for corporate America.
What do we have to do to make sure that happens?
We've got to support WERC in their lobbying efforts, but then every company, if they could contact their House of Representatives and Senate people, letting them know we want that moving expense and reinstated in 2026, that would absolutely help a lot. That would help a long way.
So we need to write our, is this what we're telling people? Write our congressman?
Write our congressman.
Does it? This sounds like some real old school rhetoric. Write your congressman. Let them know that we need the moving expense deduction reinstated. We need to sunset the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, where they eliminated the moving expense deduction. I do think that this is the single most critical point that we need to be focusing on right now. That is somewhat within our control.
Absolutely. And the Fortune 3000, they all have corporate tax departments and corporate tax directors who are very, very smart people. They know the right people in Washington to contact that say, we need this reinstated. So I really look to the Fortune 3000 and their corporate tax departments to be contacting their representatives in Washington to try to get back this deduction.
Are we beating the drum in the right arena? Are we beating the drum? I mean, we're somewhat preaching to the choir here as we're telling everybody out there, but are we telling the CFOs of America? I don't know what association that is. I imagine it's a fairly boring conference.
It's actually called the Tax Executive Institute.
The Tax Executive Institute.
The CEOs of America are members of the Fortune 3000.
There you go. Yes. So are we on panels there talking about these issues?
We're trying. I personally am on panels there speaking about it. WERC's talking about it. So we're trying. We are trying.
Good.
Tristan North at WERC, he's trying. The American Moving Association, AMA, not the American Medical Association. This is the American Moving Association. They are trying. Yeah. They're in Washington. They're fighting. They're fighting.
Yeah. I know that our friends at IAM, the International Association of Movers, are also on this, and it definitely needs to be something that we focus on kind of across the aisle, if you will, or across the associations, right, to make this happen.
Yep. One thing I do want to mention, importantly, while the federal deduction for moving expenses is gone since 2017, the good news is 6 states still allow you to deduct moving expenses. And one is Arkansas, which a lot of people move to Arkansas. The second is California.
Oh, wow.
A tremendous number of people move to California. The third is Hawaii, New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. The good news is if you move to any one of those 6 states, all of your moving expenses, household goods, final move expenses are totally not taxable in those 6 states.
At the state tax level.
At the state tax level.
So if your state tax is like 8% or something.
8% of a $50,000 moving bill is $4,000 plus a gross up another 80%. That's $7,000 a company doesn't have to gross up. But if you're moving to California, the highest rate is 13.3.
Oh, wow.
So literally, a person moving into California who's in a high bracket, the company is saving over $10,000 and not having to gross that person up. Throw the federal rate on at 37%. That's how we get up to $20,000, $30,000.
Yeah.
Big numbers.
Wow, that's incredible. So that's in 2026. So we're crossing our fingers. We're writing our congressperson with our fingers crossed somehow. So very exciting. So what else is going on from a tax standpoint that we need to be thinking about?
Sure. I mean, the other big thing is the real estate commissions are a huge issue right now.
Huge issue. And I'm just hearing about this as of maybe a month ago, but this sounds
there's lawsuits
enormous.
going on state of Washington. Other states are
Who's
thinking about
who these days, David?
Basically, it's all about disclosure. And it's all about, as a buyer, if you're going to be buying a house, the industry wants the buyer to know what % commission is being paid by the seller, what percent of that commission is basically going to the real estate broker, what percent is going to the RMC, what percent is going to a lot of different people. And it's all about disclosure. And a lot of people are very concerned that then the buyer will try to negotiate that. We'll start negotiating.
Because
Hey,
if we tell people the cost structure, then they're going to start to negotiate.
Exactly. So that's a very, very hot issue. The other hottest issue, very, very hot issue right now in mobility is people, they're called digital nomads.
Yeah.
They're working from home, but not necessarily where they used to live.
How big of a compliance issue is this?
It's called the convenience of the employer rule. And when the average person tries to do a tax return in the state where they may be living in, but their company has no nexus, no relevancy in that state, the tax compliance obligations for that person living in a state where the company really isn't located is significant. They've made it a lot more complicated for that assignee or transferee to complete that tax return. That's a big 2023, 2024 issue.
It seems like the digital nomads are driving us absolutely mad to the extent that we choose to care about these things and not turn a blind eye. Because I feel like a lot of people, if we're being honest, are probably just not looking at this thing and hoping it doesn't come up.
It's so true. And the need for our industry to provide what's called a pre-move or pre-assignment tax consultation is paramount. No longer can a company say, we're just going to move you there, talk to our relocation counselor. That employee needs a pre-move or pre-assignment tax consultation to learn about all these tax issues, about the convenience of the employer rule. Do I file where I live, where I work, where I'm actually working from, where's my company located, et cetera, et cetera. Pre-assignment or pre-move tax consultations are more important than ever in 2023 and 2024.
Pre-assignment or pre-move tax consultations.
I would say 100% of every company who moves someone internationally offers it, because it's complex. But if you ask an international tax consultant what country is the most complicated to do a tax return in, hands down, they're going to say the United States.
Wow.
Companies are just starting to catch on to the need to provide their employees with that pre-assignment or pre-move tax consultation.
You know, you said something the first time I heard you speak. I think you said, I'm going to attribute it to you. And if I'm misquoting you, feel free to tell me. I do that often. You made a point that said, we're offering tax assistance on international assignments at the rate of 90, 100% of the time.
Absolutely.
It's obvious and intuitive to the companies that this needs to happen. However, moving from New Jersey to Pennsylvania might be more complex than moving from the UK to Germany.
And that there's nothing but that's the truth. That is because New Jersey and Pennsylvania have what's called a reciprocal agreement, where you have to pay where you live, not where you work. How you file your tax returns is actually more complicated than maybe doing a Germany to Italy move. Absolutely correct.
You know, so how do we get people to understand? How do we get our clients and the corporations out there to understand they have to be offering these kinds of benefits, or else they're really opening at least their employees up to liability, if not, I mean, themselves.
Exactly. And the way to do it is shows like this, talking at WERC about these issues, because it's more important than ever. And more companies are recognizing it. We're getting calls every day from the Fortune 3000 companies saying, we're considering this new benefit. How do we go about getting that new benefit? So companies are starting to talk about it and starting to change their policies to now include this benefit.
All right, let's see. We got a question here. Get in the comments. I want your questions. I want your comments. Let us know who you are, where you are. Get active here. David's on the clock here. He's going to start sending me an invoice here if I don't wrap this thing up here. Richard's saying, does all the paperwork have an impact of people wanting to relocate?
It's a really good question. I'd say if the employee is forced to do it themselves without any help, it definitely could be like, I don't really know if I want to do all this. But if they have that pre-move tax consultation, they can hire, a good accountant or a good consultant, and they can take care of all the paperwork for them. Kind of like hiring an RMC. It's really hard to buy and sell a house and get your household goods, but you work with a good RMC, they're going to do all that for you. It's the same in the tax. If you work with a good tax consultant, they can take care of all that for you.
Wow, a lot to think about. I'm just glad I don't pay taxes. I'm just kidding. Just totally kidding. Totally kidding. This is really interesting. It's always interesting when I talk to David Altman at NEO. David, I could talk to you for an hour, but We got more people waiting over here to chat with us here. But is there maybe a final thought you want to leave folks with?
Actually, two final thoughts.
One
is if you're a corporation or an RMC, please consider doing a pre-move tax consultation or a pre-assignment tax consultation. And as Ben said earlier, write your congressman. Let's push to get the moving expense deduction back for 2026.
I love it. Sounds good. Thanks so much, David.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you
so much here. We've actually got a special uninvited guest here in studio. Thomas Bailey, my dear friend.
I don't know.
It's so good to see you.
I don't know if
the prodigal son of relocation.
I don't know if I'd
is
say
back here.
though.
Okay, you're right. You were
kind of invited me.
You were like 2 hours early today.
Yeah,
this was
I'm
nice.
Trying to break stereotypes.
Thomas Bailey, Relotrans auto relocation, avid water drinker and runner enthusiast.
Is that a no to drink water?
No, you can always drink. I mean, bring some for me. Why don't you pass that one over to me there, man? I want to get on the action there. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're getting photo bombed over here.
All right.
Fantastic.
This is the perfect time to do it.
We got free hugs. Oh man, look at this. We got the man. Guys, this is a family show here. Get a room here. Okay, people. Oh my goodness. We got Gobi over here from Wykert.
You now have to go with adult.
Look at this. Scott. Oh, they got the prime lending. The bull.
The guy has a name tag on.
What's the name of the mascot here? All right, he can't talk. He doesn't speak English, actually.
He speaks animal.
This is fantastic. You got free hugs. Are you giving hugs out there, Scott? All right.
No,
I'll take one. I'll give me some. Yeah. I'm not getting up though, but give me some. Look at this. Look at this. It's good to see you there.
I got a fist bump.
Fist bump. Yeah.
I think I feel more comfortable with the fist bump than a hug from
a cool bull.
What is
right
that?
There.
Is that a yak or is that
it's a buffalo?
It's a buffalo. Are they extinct?
No, they're actually doing all right.
Okay.
They're appearing in burgers these days.
And like wild wings as well though.
And they make
good chicken wings.
Yeah.
So I heard you don't pay your taxes. Is this like a thing that
was a joke?
I mean, a lot of things are said, and a lot of truth is said in jest.
There's a lot of truth in those things. No, it's good. I know David. He wouldn't let me do that.
Okay.
This is fun. I started making videos with Thomas.
Yes.
Work videos with Thomas. And,
thank you for the clarification.
Back in the D.
Yeah.
You know, back when we both lived in
the D is Detroit. Yeah, Detroit.
Little D, not Dallas.
Yeah. Little. Wow.
And people still ask me when I'm gonna have Thomas on, when we're gonna do some more stuff. So
now we're here.
Seeing. We started from the bottom.
Yeah.
And now we're here.
We take the show to Toronto. Drake show up.
Yeah. Well, I was in Toronto last week, and Drake did not show up.
Were you waiting?
I mean, I was there a week.
Wow.
You would have thought at some point.
That seems crazy. Maybe he was like doing something. I don't know.
He might have had something going on.
I'll talk to him.
I didn't coordinate properly with him.
So, man, hold on really quick. Hold on.
No,
so it's been a little bit since we've been on camera together. And
so
do you?
Yes.
I believed you for a second there.
I do.
And I do miss you, bro. But then I also have been watching what you've been doing in the relocation industry, and it's phenomenal. I had to get a little closer to make sure that this is real. Like watching you do your thing is crazy. Glomo is out of this world. Like I said something to Glomo and a CVS randomly, and some random person walked by and said, "What, you've heard of Ben Cross too?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know that guy." And then they didn't believe me, so I had to show them an old picture when you were lording over me.
Thank you, Thomas. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I watch your stuff on Instagram as well.
Yeah, thank you.
I really enjoy it. I love watching your journey. It's like Forrest Gump, man. You just keep running, man.
Yeah, so I've been running since Las Vegas. I actually left Las Vegas to come here, and I'm just now kind of getting here. So I just backstage. He's got a whole elaborate setup here.
All kidding aside, I've been in this business for I don't know, 10 years, coming to this kind of stuff, right? Maybe more, right?
Yeah.
And you've been one of my good friends, and you've had such a cool transformation in your life. And I know there's a handful of people who have made similar types of transformations in their life. And I would love to do maybe a show about it or a panel about it someday.
Yeah.
Just to kind of so people have a role model if they're looking to do something like that, or, understand what it takes to do something like that. But I mean, you've really changed your life quite a bit.
No, I appreciate that. It would be cool to talk about. I mean, I think a lot of times in the relocation space or just work in general, a lot of people put so much into work.
We think we're just supposed to talk about work the whole time.
I thought it was the tall thing. Thank you.
We think being a professional
means you have to like dedicate everything to that and
and
forget
only
health.
supposed to talk about home sale or household goods.
Yeah.
You know, and wear a suit or something for no reason, and shoes that are uncomfortable.
Your shoes look comfortable though.
It's because I don't tie them.
Oh, really? So I have a question for you though. Speaking of that, do you, when you do tie your shoes, do you tie left? do you go left foot or right foot first? I've been asking everybody at the conferences.
I don't think I've tied a shoe that's been on my foot in over 2 years.
It's just like slip on.
I slide them on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I pre-tie them or I don't tie them or I tuck the laces. Hey guys, I promise this is gonna get better if you stick around for an hour or two.
Okay.
We got real Relo talk coming up.
Yeah.
Heather Jameson, Hosea Botley, Anandita Chowdhury, and some other folks coming up as well, popping in. Faye Hawksworth might even make an appearance. I'm sure they will give you some meaty Relo content, but this is the love right here.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just take a little love break here and talk. Oh, look at this. Brad Hamlin saying, hashtag bring back the Gross Up podcast.
Whoa. The Gross Up.
Tell people about the Gross Up.
Yeah, the Gross Up was a really cool show that Ben and I did for, I mean, it was like maybe, was it a year? Maybe? 6 months? I don't know.
Still got the logo loaded in here.
Let's load that logo up.
I just threw the
see the logo up to the top of your screen.
Logo.
I appreciate that that's still in there. We did a lot of cool things. We had a really cool show. Talked about we talked about a lot of topics. So it wasn't just about reload. I mean,
talked about like imposter syndrome,
balance, the work-life balance, stuff like that.
Failure.
We were doing it in like restaurants, not the show.
We got kicked out of. Remember that Korean restaurant we got kicked out of?
I passed by that Korean restaurant the other day on a run, and I kind of gave it the stink eye. I don't know if they felt it or not.
So what we would do is we'd go at lunch and we'd meet up and we'd record like a conversation between two friends, kind of like this, banter and whatnot.
This seat is comfortable.
And sometimes it's too comfortable.
Yeah.
Sometimes we did a show about, how to prepare for the conference, what you should know about, what to wear, what parties to go to, whatever. And we would just put content, but we would film it over lunch at a restaurant. And so we'd go to like the numerous amazing Indian buffets. We liked a lot of Asian foods, Mexican restaurant, whatever around.
Yeah.
And then but we would just like get real presumptuous and set up a camera and just start going. And sometimes what are you doing?
But then the thing was like I'd have you ask if it was okay, because I felt like if you led that, I'm not really sure for what reason, but if you asked that question, I feel like they said yes quicker to you.
Is it because I'm like big and intimidating, or I'm like a white guy?
It could be both. It could be both. I feel like it could be both. When we don't have to go into
it feels like I look like the health department.
Yeah, it looks like it's like he's got to be legit, right?
He's got to be government,
right? This guy's got to be for real. He's got like
we got questions coming in here. Richard Majewski says that kind of show and making a change in your life would be great.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Thanks, Richard.
Yeah.
Brad Hamlin says, is the Gross Up greater than Love and Relo?
No. So I when people ask me about Ben Cross, I say a couple things. For the first one, I won't say on air. The second one I will say is that like whatever you see right now, like I started it all, no, but like
whatever you see now.
I think that like
started it all.
I like that like I was part of the journey, in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's definitely like if you've seen Love and Relo, you know that this is Gross Up was like a child,
It's like a spinoff. Love and Relo is basically a spinoff of the Gross Up.
Yeah.
Spinoff.
Well, no, because remember though, Love and Relo was a suggested name. Remember we did like a what should we name this?
And you didn't like it?
Because like I'm a stone cold killer, bro. I don't have no love in my heart, That's what I'm saying.
You got no love for these Relos.
Right. Okay. But yeah, no, Love and Relo is softy, so I'm Love and Relo.
Let's hug more.
Love and Relo is definitely greater than Gross Up, but Gross Up was a dope thing for sure.
It's like how Mork and Mindy was a spinoff of Taxi.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a real thing or not.
But it feels like I believed you really quickly. I'm sorry, guys, I didn't fact check that.
You weren't even alive when either of those shows were on the air.
Yeah, it was. Well, maybe not. Wait a minute.
Mork and Mindy go off the air?
Can somebody Google it?
Yeah, Brad Hamlin. Where's Brad Hamlin?
Can you Google it? He's here.
We love Brad so much.
But man, okay, let me ask you some questions.
All right, please.
Can we do that?
Yes.
What's one thing that you've learned about yourself in this Love and Relo journey?
About myself?
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things I learned, I don't know if it's about me or like in general, but like I've learned that if you do something long enough, people will take notice.
Mm-hmm.
It will be effective. you can't ignore 100 episodes of something.
Yeah.
You can't ignore 200 episodes. You build a body of work big enough, and people cannot ignore it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking as I was setting up today, and we're here at Worldwide ERC. You know what I love about a 2-hour show?
What's that?
Nobody's watching like minute 55.
So you can say whatever you
So
want.
I want to just tuck in the Easter eggs for the real ones.
Yeah, this can play back though, right?
Yeah, of course, whatever.
Okay. Say
My
it.
whole life's on tape. But the point is like there was a time when we were like just filming stuff like on the run, and then there was a time, and and then there was a time where we were doing our stuff in restaurants, and then there was a time we started doing this, and then at one point, there were people within Worldwide ERC at the board level or whatever who thought Love and Relo was a competitor to Worldwide ERC, and that was news to me because I wasn't.
That's
that's news to me
compliment.
because I wasn't making any money. So
That's
I was like, I don't know how I'm
bro.
really
Yeah.
competing. But and now here we are.
Yeah.
And we're doing this thing live from Worldwide ERC, and I'm just so thankful to them that they gave us the space to set up a studio right outside the expo hall and do this.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of like that saying, like first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. And if you just stick with anything long enough in your life,
yeah,
and you just keep chopping wood and you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, you're gonna get somewhere.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, the consistency of, the consistency you've showed since you've come in the industry is pretty phenomenal as well. Like, like you've always been, that's what inspired me about you. You've always been like that forward thinking or trying to move forward, even if it was something that maybe didn't last as long as you wanted it to, you always were looking for that next thing to do.
Yeah.
And then so being a part of that journey and helping with starting a show that kind of planted the seed for whatever was next is just a really dope thing. And I appreciate you. You're inspiring a lot of people, and that's what you're doing.
Appreciate you, man.
Keep doing your thing. I approve. I approve.
Thank you, man. Your approval means a lot to me. More than it should.
Stamp of approval.
More than
bro.
it should, man. Any other questions for me?
Yeah. Can we go to a party tonight?
I would be honored.
What party? Can
we do the kid and play dance?
Sure, bro.
You're looking at me like, yo, if you can stand on one foot and hop around, we can do the dance.
Bro, if you go to put one foot up, I'm gonna kick it with my other foot. All right.
That's a friend right there.
All right. And then I honestly though, I would like for you to pass it around the fact that I'm personally asking as many people as possible which shoe they tie first, left or right.
They say a good friend will bail you out of jail, and a great friend will be in there with you, but a true friend will try to get you locked up in the first place, and that's the kind of friend you are, Thomas, and I appreciate you so much.
Which one?
The one that tries to get me locked up. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Can we talk about the other thing? No. Well, listen.
Here we go. We got some people commenting in here. Such good advice, Ben. Thank you so much. That's from Olivia Bagrami.
Talk to me, not
Brad. Oh, you don't want me to do this thing?
No.
Okay. Do you have another question?
No.
Okay, because we're over here. Jackie says she ties the left first. Thomas.
Left. Okay. I'm left as well. I'm right-handed, but I'm a left shoe tire first.
Can you tell me how many what's going on with you now, man? You're doing a lot of running now.
Yeah, I do a lot of.
I see people sending you free sneakers and stuff.
Yeah.
What do you got, like endorsement deals? How's it working?
No. So like I do a lot of running and I create content because we've always been content creators. It's how we roll. So everything I do, I document in some way, and it worked out. And so I run for health and all that stuff. My kids run, or my son runs on his cross country team.
I love seeing Thomas running.
Yeah, man. So it's cool. And then it's just there's not black folks running like for fun. Like not when we grow up. You know what I mean? Not running for fun.
I like how you say where we grow up too. You're referring to you and the other folks, or me? Because you're not talking. Do I get to be in on it?
Yeah, sure.
I like he says not a lot of black folks.
Yeah, you could be in. You could be in.
Fun.
For fun. But it's just one of those things where like black people are underrepresented in the running space in general. So it's just cool for my kid to see like that.
Yeah,
this is an option, or anything's an option for him.
You are an amazing a role model for all of us for a lot of different reasons, man. Yeah.
I know that too. When I wake up, I kind of look at myself.
Well, I want you to be out here more with me, man. I want you to be influencing people because you can't just have fat people on the mic all the time. We need those real ones out there that are doing the right thing. And I'm just talking about it, man.
Not really sure what to do.
You know what I mean?
Not really sure what to say that. Well, invite me back and I'll be on.
All right. Hey, question. got a final thought before we got a couple people on deck over here.
Final
Talk
thought.
to Dale real quick.
Final thought is it's really good to be here at Worldwide ERC. It's a great event so far. I'm having a great time. Really happy to see a bunch of people that I haven't seen since last year. Happy to see you, bro. That's
you,
it.
man. So good to see you, Thomas. So proud of you, brother. Thanks,
Right.
thanks for everything.
All
Thanks
right,
for coming by, man. Appreciate you, man. I'll see you in there.
Stay right here for a little bit, okay?
Yeah, I'm here for another hour, dog. Hey, bring a water. If you come across a water, I would love one. Hey, we got Dale Collins coming up over here. I want to see Dale here. It's been a minute here. Come on over here, Dale. Scoot in this shot here. How are you doing? So good
I'm
to
doing
see
well.
you.
Good to see you, Ben.
Dale Collins, everybody. This is fantastic. It's great to see you here.
You too. Well, thanks.
Second week in a row we've run into each other.
I know, but now I'm on air. So
yeah, this is great. This is great. What have you been up to lately, Dale?
Well, a couple different things. I'm currently working at Home Safe Alliance. We are the contractor for the U.S. military for the Department of Defense. But in addition to that, I've started that in February, but I'm also finishing up my PhD at the University of Denver, and I'm getting my PhD in business, but it's a focus on mobility.
Wow. PhD in mobility.
More or
There's
less.
a lot to talk about here. We're going to talk about the Home Safe Alliance thing too, because I feel like that's super interesting, super timely, especially coming off of last week's IAM conference in Toronto. But first, let's talk about the mobility doctor, Dale Collins. We're going to have to brand that a certain type of way.
That'd be great. That's great. So for all your listeners, let me give them my research question that kind of puts everything and encapsulates it. Okay. So the research question is, how is value determined for an international expatriate assignment by key assignment stakeholders, specifically in those companies that are known as born global? So young companies that go global immediately, and how do they translate that value into a return on investment for the expat assignment? So these are new companies born in the last 20 years, not your traditional big old well-known brands, but born global companies. So it's and I will tell you, Ben, so far the results that I've had, and I got half my data in, it's very different than what you would think. Companies are doing things on the cheap, very specific purposes. I'm getting this concept of synchronous and asynchronous collaboration and innovation.
Synchronous and asynchronous. Those are big words. What do they mean, though? What does asynchronous collaboration mean?
So asynchronous is, hey, I've got an idea. Let's see what Ben thinks of it. We'll send Ben the information. And a day later, Ben replies, hey, I didn't understand that. So can you tell me what you meant by that?
Asynchronous collaboration in my world is when my wife's like, take the trash out. And I say, honey, wait for the commercial break.
That's basically it.
So no, but I like what you're saying, because we have folks in our organization who are in the Philippines or in Brazil. Yes, we have these massive time zone changes, and the clients who are in other parts of the world, in the UK or whatever, and we have to like kind of lob in a question and then wait for it to kind of come back using all these different tools.
Exactly. What we're seeing from the research so far, this is all preliminary. We're getting more. I'm getting more. It's I have to do this on my own, but they're telling me that this wait time, this ability to work together when they are co-located, makes things so much faster, so much more efficient, and they get the projects done quickly. And this whole thing about these video things are going to make expatriate a thing of the past and all this simply isn't true. They're showing me, they're demonstrating, they're explaining why the value of being there, among other value propositions, but why they are so much more efficient when they work together at the same time, together in the same place. And think about some of the different cultures we have.
So why is that? I feel like we feel it intuitively, even though our brains try to convince us and our bosses that it's not necessary. But what is that magic of in-person collaboration?
Well, think about what we're doing right here. If I were in Rome and you were doing this, we'd be waiting for a lag, be asking me something, we'd be waiting back and forth. We might do something live, but at the same time, everyone in Rome would be in bed. We'd be up here.
You'd be super tired.
Exactly. And so having people together and being able to cooperate, collaborate, and innovate together in real time, in actual time, is so much more efficient, and the results and the ability to test things live in person back and forth allows the expatriates and the local colleagues to just work together and bring things to life much more quickly than they would otherwise. So companies are saying, especially these young companies, they see this very quickly. They can't build great big teams, so they have to send one or two, and they build this from the ground up, and they know that speed to market's important. They have to develop this, and if they get that person, that they don't have to wait for responses to work together, not to mention bring the culture across. It just is so much faster, and they're finding this as a solution to competing in the world against the big guys.
I feel like your ability to prove this and our ability as an industry to prove out the case for synchronous collaboration is really the case for global mobility.
Very much so. Very much so.
Because we've been kind of talking ourselves into this remote work is okay. Remote work. I've even heard people with the rhetoric, I'll call it rhetoric, about remote work is even more effective and productive because I can work during my commute times. I can, I never turn off all this rhetoric. But yet I don't see it. I don't feel it in my bones.
It would be fine if the world were flat, but the world is not flat. And you can do the research on time zones as well. And time zones themselves proffer the opportunity to do expat assignments. It just makes that an efficient methodology for extending business strategy and for taking the mission and purpose for companies that are trying to go global faster and at an accelerated pace. And that's what these born global companies are trying to do. They've got to compete globally from the very beginning, whereas 100 years ago, 75 years ago, it was enough to be the best company in the state or something. Be the best company in Massachusetts was something special, but now it's nothing. It's nice, but you got to be global, and that's where the world's going.
There's a huge emphasis on being global. I mean, gosh, we hear it from our RMC friends and service provider friends who try to compete for these RFPs. And one of the major questions is, where are your locations? Where do you have boots on the ground? Give me the addresses. Better not just be a Regis office. It better be a real deal, office. And so I think that's an excellent point here. I can't wait to hear the findings as they come out. How many more data points do you need? How much more research
I'm
do
looking
you have
for
to go?
at least 2 more companies who have at least 3 expats to say, hey, I'd love to participate. And everything's anonymous. No one gets known. It's very, very professionally done. I have institutional review boards that oversee everything, so it's properly put together. So Dale.collins@du.edu if you're interested.
Dale.collins@du.edu.
Correct. At the
That's
University of Denver.
University of Denver. Okay.
Absolutely. So
very good.
That's what I need to kind of finish up this data. And I've been working with ERC over the last kind of 12 months to say this is coming, and they've been excited to say we publish it on the website or whatever. So
yeah, fabulous.
we'll make it known.
Fabulous. Well, in addition to everything you've done for Worldwide ERC and for the community,
being a board member and past chair, it's been great. And sometimes it's nice just to walk around and not have to have that burden on your shoulders.
Yeah,
anymore.
not have to be political and shake hands and kiss babies and everything.
Absolutely.
Right. To hear Mansoor checking in. Yes. Hey Ben, good to see you. Good to see you in Toronto as well last week. Fabulous. We'll talk a little bit about Toronto last week as well. Richard Majewski, quick question, Ben. Sorry to interrupt. Does the show run Thursday and Friday also? Yes, Thursday, no Friday. We will be here tomorrow for 2 hours interviewing lots of sponsors, luminaries, influencers here in the global mobility space. But there can't be anything more influential and more impactful and more relevant and topical right now than your company, Home Safe Alliance, and the Global Household Goods Contract. Do you want to maybe just kind of give people some context on what's going on in case they're not aware?
Sure. So the U.S. Department of Defense chose to change its strategy a few years ago, and they went out and selected a single source provider. So Home Safe Alliance was that organization that was chosen. So it's our responsibility, and we're in the transition of this now, to take on as the single kind of source of all U.S. military personnel and civilian personnel in the Department of Defense.
How big of a program are we talking here, Dale?
They tell me anywhere from 300,000 to 350,000 moves a year is in the range.
300 to 350,000 shipments per year.
And about 50-50 international domestic.
50-50 international, domestic. And a lot of that's because maybe 2 shipments for international. So,
Well, they have what's
so-
called a baggage shipment.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, some of that's a little bit doubled up, but by and large, it's still a lot of business.
that's just a lot of shipments.
It's a lot of shipments.
Oh my gosh. How do you eat that elephant, Dale?
As they say, one bite at a time. So we are beginning the process. We're in a transition right now. We're working with the government to begin it. The contract had been delayed for reasons that the government wanted to just be cautious of what they were doing. So
Sure, it's a big piece of business.
it's
to
very
move.
big, and we are currently getting ready to begin the domestic side. So the domestic comes out first, and then the international follows basically a year from now.
When do we think the domestic shipments are going to start running through the program?
From what they explained to us most recently, we think sometime in November we should start seeing the first task
Wow.
orders. Don't hold me to that, but that's kind of the estimated time at this point is to start receiving, and they'll be a limited number to begin with. They want to start easing things through. So, but ERC next year, we should be well under our way.
Wow. So incredible. And I think there's going to be a major impact in this piece of business. I mean, we come here and we talk mostly about corporate relocation. We talk a little bit about government agency relocation, very, very little or almost non-existent about DoD, U.S. military business. But when you're talking about 300 to 350,000 shipments, the single largest customer for moving and relocation services in the world, the Department of Defense, when that domino falls and there's a major sea change in that business and who services and how it's serviced, I got to think that has to have ripple effects throughout the entire industry, whether you service military shipments or not.
Well, it's going to have ripple effects, no question. By and large, the people who have been providing the on the ground service won't change very much.
Okay.
So they will continue to do the work. This has been clearly communicated by Matt Dolan, our president.
Shout out to Matt. We love Matt.
There we go. And that we have to have their cooperation, their assistance, and their participation. And in essence, the military needed a single throat to choke, as they say. And fundamentally, the moves aren't going to be that different. We want to provide an excellent service, but Ben, you mentioned the corporate. The military and the Department of Defense want the experience of the military staff members, the military service members, rather, to have a great experience, not unlike what corporate customers would receive. And they think they deserve that, and we certainly believe they deserve that. These are individuals who are putting, their service to the country ahead of everything else, and we want to provide the best service for them and their families that's possibly to be delivered, work with all of our providers, and find a way to say, do a great job, because they're out there doing the best they can for our country. And we just want to provide them with the best possible service as they change stations, as they come into the service, as they retire from the service or leave after their commitment. But we just want them to be taken care of because they deserve it.
And there's obviously, with every change, there are, there's nervousness.
No question.
There's trepidation.
Yes,
right?
there is.
And service providers and drivers are kind of like, how is it going to change, my world, my day to day, and, we have Fred here, Fred chiming in here, and he's got questions about, he feels like, all the money goes to the top and how does it go to the curb, right? I mean, that was kind of one of the talking points early on in this change was, we want to get more money to the curb. We want to fund, this for the sustainability of the industry. But I know another thing was they wanted to have better service for the spouses, the families, and the service members, right? So, what is there to say to people who have concerns about, the economics and if it's going to be a sustainable program for them?
Well, I think Matt Dolan in Toronto at the IM conference covered that fairly well. As a percentage, more will get to the curb. We all know that this contract began a few years ago, and we're further down the line. So we will endeavor to do the best that we possibly can. But these are things that are still to play themselves out. And our goal is to provide the best opportunity for both the supply chain and the military service members to have both a good experience and a positive experience in terms of the business and economics. So, and we will do all that we can to be as good a customer as we possibly can to those suppliers, and hopefully we'll succeed in this.
Yeah, and I think in all fairness, I mean, the contract's already awarded, so now it's just about doing what you can with the money that you've been given to work with, you know. And I think Matt brought up a really good point last week in Toronto, you know, and it's it's a tough spot, right? The contract went out, they're going to do this thing, they're going to award it to somebody. Everybody in the industry bid on it, right? So somebody's going to get it, and also, you know, there was a memo that was leaked, you know, at one point that was about kind of what the target price for this contract was going to be. So everybody kind of knew the bogey they had to hit to win this thing. So I mean, Matt makes a good point. You know, it's like kind of everybody's economics are going to be the same on this thing. You know, just no matter how we get there.
That's correct.
And so the government chose the Home Safe bid, and this is where we're at. You know, and so we got to work together to get these folks moving.
And that's exactly it. They know the limitations we have. We will work together. We are very concerned about the drivers, the service suppliers, and everyone in participation with this. So the days are coming along that we'll have to just buckle down and find a way to get through it. Everyone would love the government to say, oh, there's something we can do. And if there is, it's great. But, you know, we're not going to hold our breath either.
Yeah.
We know how the government is. We all know that we're limited resources, but our goal is to find a way through this and to deliver the service and have people work with us. And as Matt said, he knows that, and there are things already out in the market with the pricing that's been submitted on the domestic side. We still haven't done the international. We're holding off on that till we get our domestic house kind of set up in order, but that will come soon enough.
We will have Matt. Matt has approached us about being on the show, so we will have Matt to answer kind of some of the questions in depth. Dale, I know you focus more on the international side,
correct?
Which lets you mostly off the hook here, I think.
That's right. You got a whole year before I come back.
Yeah. And I know a lot of the angst is more on the domestic side anyway. But Fred and everyone out there who has questions about the Global Household Goods contract, we will have Matt Dolan on the show. We will make that happen. He came to me and asked to be on, which I think is awesome. I mean, that's one thing about Matt. You know, it's pure integrity.
When I walked in on the both of you, that's
and he'll
you guys were talking.
You know what I'm saying? And he came to me about it, which I'm like, wow, you know, really, you know, putting it out there. But it's important, I think, to him that he has clear communication out there and he's accountable, and that's one thing about Matt.
And he will be as he was in Toronto. He's the kind of he's the point guy, and he will cover it.
Dale, this has been fantastic. I love hearing about your PhD work. I think it's going to be super impactful, as well as the work you're doing with Home Safe. So all this is phenomenal. Do you want to leave people maybe with a final thought before we get on to some of our next guests here?
Well, I would say this. From my Home Safe perspective, our goal is to deliver great service to the military service members and their families. On the research, this is taking us into areas that are unknown, and I believe that we're going to add to the knowledge of the industry, and it will make a big difference if you're out there thinking, hey, how can I show my company that I'm at the cutting edge of stuff? Contact me. Let's get you involved in this research and show them that you're thinking beyond just what's in front of you to how we bring value. This classic conundrum of what's the ROI and what's the value, we're getting closer to answering those questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Dale. Thanks so much, Dale
Pleasure.
Collins.
Thanks.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
Can't wait to talk further about this. And let's bring on some more folks. So we got Heather coming up here as well. Is Rachel next? We got Rachel Fisher Lyons coming on over here. Get on over here. How you doing, friend?
Hey, Ben.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you
Oh
too.
my gosh, this is great.
Yeah.
Get in over here. Kind of tighten up here.
Right.
We got Rachel
Yep.
here. Rachel's a good dear friend. I've known Rachel for
Well,
too
unfortunately, if you admit, then you'll admit how long you've been working.
Are we getting to the age where we don't tell people how long we've been in this business? Are we that old?
I mean, I'm fine with telling people. I just realized like the number is what's the number got into
The double digits.
Which is not that crazy, but like, you know, it just was more than I
feels
wanted to
wild.
admit. So yeah, we're just not the young folks anymore.
Not
you
the
know,
whippersnappers.
yeah,
that
we
can
need to talk to
stay
someone
out
else.
late. And
Yeah.
I went home. I got in a cab last night at 11 o'clock.
Oh yeah, I was in bed by 11, and I watched Gilmore Girls.
What has happened
Which is the
to
most
us?
millennial thing that you can really
What has
say.
happened
to
to
be
us?
honest.
We used to be the ones, you know,
Closing out the bar,
stealing the bottles of wine
Yeah.
from the, you know, the closing ceremony, and you know, hanging out in the lobby or something.
Well, you know, I tried to get you a drink in there, and I tried to bring it out to you, and they the security said no. So
It's a different world.
I know.
Compliance, the name of the game these days. Hit that like button. Get in the comments.
Yeah.
I want to hear from you. Fred Metzler's going wild out there.
Hey,
Fred,
Fred.
I wish I could put all the stuff you say up here, but it's in the comments for your viewing pleasure out there. Hit that like button. Let us know if you have questions, comments for Rachel. But Rachel, real quick, why don't you plug your company and tell people what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I have my own business. It's called Next Destination Marketing. Ben and I actually started businesses around the same time.
Yes.
Which is really interesting.
Like
And-
really close in time.
yeah. So that was, I think there's just something in the air. I think like during that time period.
It was that COVID-y kind of, a lot of crap's hitting the fan, and
you reevaluate your entire
yeah, and you're like,
life.
we're all gonna die. We might as well go live in an RV and start our own business.
Which, was what I did. I mean, you did half of that. So,
Yeah, I
you're
did.
halfway there.
I couldn't afford an RV. I would have.
But yeah, so anyway, I work for a moving company, as you know, for
Here in Boston.
Yep, here in Boston, my old stomping grounds for about a decade, and then I started my own marketing business, and I thought, well, that's great. Got out of that relo business.
I don't ever have to
Perfect.
deal with these movers and relocation people ever again.
Yep, and then
we sucked you right back in.
and then it turns out that most of my contacts are in relocation, which honestly,
because we all have bad marketing and we know you.
yeah, pretty
that-
much, and it works out perfectly for me.
That's your
So,
customer persona. People you know who have bad marketing. Oh, movers,
a lot
got
of
it.
overlap.
Movers,
a lot
relocation,
of overlap.
service providers.
So yeah, so that's what I ended up doing. And honestly, I am actually really glad, because I'm glad that I still get the opportunity to see my
Yeah.
friends and the people that I met over
Yeah,
the years.
you
And that
love
wasn't
us. You're not
something I
going
had to-
anywhere.
yeah, I really am not at this point. So
You're stuck.
for better or for worse.
Well, you know what? We say you're stuck. We're joking, but when I go to these entrepreneur groups, they always talk about what is your niche. Everyone needs a
Yes.
niche, and if you have a niche, you'll be successful. As they say, the riches are in the niches, or as they say in Europe,
yeah,
the riches are in the niches.
I like that one.
You
I
like
do.
that one?
Yeah, I do.
that's highbrow.
Yeah.
That stuff right there. Highbrow dad jokes.
Yeah, no, and you really can't get more niche than relocation global mobility.
Oh yeah, they're like, what? You tell them what it is. What? You tell them again. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, how does moving and immigration law and real estate agents, like, how are y'all all in the same room together?
I mean, to be honest, I didn't even know either, because I was so solidly in the moving part of the business for so long that I just didn't really realize how all these things connected until I just started meeting more people. And then, and they said, oh, I'm doing this, this, and this. And I'm like, what? Like, how is, and now it's great, because now I have clients in all parts of, the relocation business. So
Let me ask you this, for people that
Yeah.
are watching out there who run a business, they're in this space, what are some of the marketing things they need to be thinking about?
yeah, absolutely.
Give us some tips and tricks. They've hung around for 82 minutes, okay, for you right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, if you're out there, I mean,
If you're out there, that's a premise
yeah.
we need to throw out there.
But if you are, I mean, I think staying relevant is really the name of the game, and it's very boring.
How do we stay relevant? What does that mean?
So it really just means being not in people's faces. Like, I don't mean that like in an aggressive way, but providing value for people throughout, consistently showing up and providing value. So that way, when the person who needs your service needs it, they remember you. And
You're the first person they think of.
Yeah. And like, it really is very boring. And you're probably like, wow, she's like the worst marketer ever. That's not like a very cool, like, I was like, yeah, well, you really on TikTok or something like that. And there's all that stuff too. But I honestly, at the end of the day, it's about looking at all the different platforms that are out there to stay consistent. And so some of that is social media, it's email, it's putting content out on your website and promoting it on social media. And then honestly, like the analog stuff too, like being in person, like reaching out to the people right? So it's the combination of like all those things that ultimately is what drives business.
So we sat on a panel together a long time ago.
Yeah.
Back when I was under 40. I remember that. That was the stipulation of being on the panel.
I'm still under 40.
In some ageist, bizarro world where that could be a qualification.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I made a statement,
Oh,
and
no.
I don't think you've ever hated me more. Well, maybe we work together now.
Well, actually, there's a huge irony in this now, actually. Yeah.
And I said to you, I said, email is dead. And this had to be,
Yeah.
I don't know, dang near like 8 years ago.
Yeah, probably about that.
8 years ago. And I was like, email is dead.
Okay, so the first thing I will point out is, so you are one of my
I
clients.
pay Rachel to do email marketing for me.
Yeah.
That's the irony. I pay her.
Well, I guess like the value is there, right?
And people come up to me, you know what they say to me? I get your emails.
Wow. It's almost like you're staying relevant with people through email. But like I do see your point at the time. And your point at the time is that, your email inbox is not like a very personal place anymore. And that, just because you're in their inbox doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to have that connection. And that if you want like a guaranteed connection with them, probably at that point, text messaging as in business was emerging,
I was like, get that text.
Yeah.
You want to be that push notification on their home screen.
Yeah. And like, that's true. Like, I think like now, back then, I think it was like, is it okay to text someone for business? And I was like, that's all we do now.
Now that's the shortcut.
So you were right, in that sense. And I think we agreed with that. But I think that the idea that like email is that at the end of the day, it's like, it is one of the most targeted direct ways to stay in touch with people. And people don't really, I don't want to say like mind you being on their inbox. Like people are pretty good with it, and if you're providing value to them, even if they don't open every time, even if they
they never open it. Who opens email?
Lots of people. Your metrics are good.
My metrics are good.
Yeah.
I have 37,000 unread emails right now in my business email inbox for a company that's been around less than 3 years.
Yeah, I know that's mine are in there and you didn't read them.
Yeah. My own emails are in here too, if it makes anyone feel better.
Yeah.
But I think, one of the things we do with your help is we try to put things on people's calendar.
Yeah.
So we put reminders about Love and Relo on people's calendar. So now it's not just in the email, it's dynamic.
Yeah. And the difference of what we're doing with email with you and what I try to do with most of my clients is like, it's not promotion, it's value. You're putting value in people's inbox through the
So what's the
content that you
difference?
create.
Yeah. So give people an example of like a value creation that's not just, hey, 50% off moving today.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think like, it's okay to put some promotion in there, putting 1 out of X messages as promotion or including like a promotion call to action in your email. But ultimately what you want to be doing is provide value for the people and put in serving people like through email instead of serving yourself through promotion. So, I mean, I'll use you as an example because you're, a great example, but you do Love and Relo every week. So we're emailing people, letting them know who's going to be on the show so that they know who to tune into. You put out a recruiting podcast.
It's actually super relevant, super timely stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's putting that content out there, putting, some updates on what's going on with your events, what's going on with your team that's relevant, and is going to allow people to come in and learn more about the industry. So that's really what you provide.
I think one thing I need to get better about too is doing like more ClickFunnels type stuff too as well. I think there's a lot of interest in what we do, and I don't think I ask for, the business enough. So
you give a lot without asking for a lot of return, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm gonna start asking y'all for stuff. You can be there for me. We're gonna start charging for this. Probably not, but Rachel, that's awesome. Give people a final thought before we move on to Heather Jameson.
All right. A final thought is that if you haven't posted on LinkedIn yet this week, then just go ahead and post on LinkedIn. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I really say that the worse the photo is, the better engagement you're going to get because it's authentic. And that's really my final thought for you this week.
I love it. It's fabulous. Thanks so much, Rachel. Appreciate you being here. That was awesome. Rachel Fisher-Lyons from Next Destination Marketing.
Bye, everyone.
See you. And she was an awesome speaker at the Love and Relo 500 as well. Heather Jameson, come on down from Global LT. How are you doing? It's so wonderful to see you.
I know, it's been a
So
bit,
great. So great.
Nice to see you.
You as well. How is your conference? How's ERC treating you?
Good, busy. I feel like I was here 3 hours yesterday and had 12,000 steps in already. Like I am
3 hours, 12,000 steps.
running everywhere between Marriott and Sheraton and the Heinz Center. It's all over the place. So it's busy. Good though. Can't
Wow.
complain.
Love it. Anything stand out to you that you've learned or kind of seen today and yesterday?
I mean, it's more, I think, a larger attendance than last year. I would say definitely tons more people.
There's a
feel,
lot of
than last
people.
year, right? So, which is nice.
Yeah, it's rich.
The global presence, love it. Love seeing everybody from, across the globe. Besides that, I guess it's just the networking. I feel there's a lot more networking, and people just really love seeing each other and new people. A lot of new attendees. Yes.
Yeah,
that's
a lot
exciting.
of new faces. A lot of new faces.
I like seeing the new faces. I've actually had a meeting with a couple of them, and I'm like, if you're here 1 year in Relo, you're never leaving, right? You become a lifer. You know how it goes.
You do. But I think sometimes people leave and we just forget about them too. Because people do leave. But I love seeing the new faces. I think sometimes we tell ourselves stories where, oh, we've been doing this for 10 plus years. Therefore, we know everybody that's here. Therefore, we've seen all the panels. Therefore, we know all the companies that are relevant and worth knowing. And I think this year has really illustrated to me that that's not the case. There's a ton of new people, a ton of new corporate folks. I look at the supplier board behind me, and half those companies weren't up there 5 years ago.
Yeah, new names.
A lot of new names. Absolutely. And I think it's reflective of how the services that we offer are changing and evolving,
They are. And I think the partnerships too. I've seen a lot more the newer companies, but working together, like to service the clients and really provide that customer experience and that overall, experience for the people who are moving and really, giving them what they need.
Tell us a little bit about Global LT, because I think y'all are one of those service providers and services that are really kind of coming to the forefront here. So tell us a little bit about what y'all do.
Yeah. So I used to laugh and say, like, language and culture is super important, but like we're at the bottom of the food chain, right? Like a lot of times before, until recently, some people would just check the box, like, oh, you can have language, but was it enough to really support everyone?
Right.
And that's changed a lot. So we do language, culture, destination services, and translations.
Oh, wow.
So, and interpretation, if you need interpreters as well. And what I've seen is companies really understanding the value of that culture training, right? That transitional services for the families who are moving is so important. And that culture training is not something that happens just one day of training. They need that additional support. There's going to be awkward moments, culture shock that happens after that training, and companies are getting it. They're really understanding how important that is to make that assignment successful and help the family transition. So I've seen that change, I think, over the last year or two. I think coming out of COVID too, corporates were just looking at their policies differently. And they're giving more services. They're giving more hours for language. They're giving more culture support. So that's been nice to see.
So you're seeing some actual investment in the experience, which is kind of counter to a lot of the narrative that we're hearing about less cost, more service, which seems to be a drum that's just getting beaten forever and ever, right? Yeah. But you're seeing actual investment.
Yeah, and I think it was because before they were just checking the box. So they're like, oh, I'll give you a Rosetta Stone that'll help you learn the language.
Right.
You're never going to learn a language just by using an app. And like they're realizing that support is so important for those transitional services. And also, again, those partnerships with different companies. So I've seen language and culture start tying in with DS, right, destination services, because it really goes hand in hand. It's not just getting your driver's license or social security number or home finding. Those transitional services, even on the destination side, when it comes to appliances and understanding that when you come from a different culture or just different things they may experience. So I think that's a little unique for our spot with language and culture, because you're right. The other benefits, they're cutting back or they want more for less. Yeah. And it's a little different in that language.
I like how you're combining it, because when you think about like settling in, how do you settle in if you don't speak the language? How do you settle in if you don't understand the world around you?
And culture and language go hand in hand. If you don't understand the culture, you're not going to understand the language, and vice versa. To understand the language helps you understand the culture. Actually, understanding the language helps you accept that culture and has more of a positive view towards that culture when you can speak the language. It really goes hand in hand. You can't do one without the other.
Never really thought about that. Yes, that's interesting. Yeah. So you've been at Global LT for a few years now. Yeah. But you weren't always from a language.
I was
and cultural.
RMC. Yeah, RMC forever.
Yeah, so, you were.
As you were saying, how many years have we been doing this? Yeah. So over 20 years, and most of my career was all RMC, relocation management company.
So what has it been like? Supplier. What has it been like getting into the language training, culture, DS side, and what are maybe some of the, like, maybe surprising things or things that have like surprised you?
I had some. So on the RMC side, I worked with Global LT and I had no idea really what they did.
Oh, isn't that funny?
Crazy?
It's so
Like,
funny how our customers and our friends don't even know what
I
we
used
do.
to get a monthly report, didn't really pay attention to it. Like I ran a team, and then when I got here, I had a lot of aha moments. Like, oh wait, they do this, and it was just getting. Again, I feel the relocation consultant role is so important. I think it's overlooked a lot. That front line,
Yeah,
they
well,
are the one
front
talking.
line,
They're the
they're
front
always
lines.
overlooked.
And a lot of times we're talking to account managers, we're talking to business development, we're not talking to the relocation consultants,
Yep.
or maybe their team manager. So letting them know what we do was a big aha moment for me. Like I had, worked at an RMC, came over, and I'm like, wait a minute, you guys did that? And I was just working with you 2 weeks ago. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I think to me, it was making sure, and it's hard. It's hard as a supplier to get in front of the relocation consultants, especially now that no one's in office, or, a lot of people are more remote. Getting in front of them is a lot harder. So I think for me, those were the aha moments, is making sure they actually know what we do. We just assume they know. Oh, we do language. They know what we do. No.
So
they
I
know.
started this show almost 4 years ago now. And early in this show, I would talk with language training folks and cultural training folks. And they would always say there wasn't enough investment in it. There wasn't enough acknowledgement about what the value was and the necessity for it. And the take rate was too low and all that. So they may give the benefit, but nobody took the benefit. They weren't encouraged. And from what I'm hearing from you, it's so exciting now, because it sounds like you're actually getting people to listen and to engage with these services. And I got to tell you, it's so cool. The cool part about the show is I get to document the changes in our industry now over 4 years.
Right.
And I give you a lot of props for that, because Global LT is a real leader in this space.
Yeah, we've done some great things, and I think COVID kind of helped push us along a little bit, because we had to kind of look at how can we keep those students engaged and get them to utilize their benefits. And when you're learning a language, there's a U curve. You're going to get frustrated.
A U curve.
There's a U curve.
Not
in
a
the
bell
learning.
curve, a
No,
U curve.
it's a U curve, because just as you think you're getting it, then you're like, wait a minute, I messed that up. And you start getting down on yourself, and you have to fight through it. So what we've learned is keeping them motivated is super, important, but also that teacher relationship. That relationship. Sometimes you just go to your language lessons, you don't want to let your teacher down. And that's your lifeline to the new culture.
It's like that personal trainer,
yes, right? Because there's no accountability. You stay motivated for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, the app, whatever. But that relationship, and that's our industry, it's relationships, right? Everything comes down to relationships.
Yeah. I love it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Heather, I want to ask you, do you want to maybe leave people with just a final thought before we get to Jose over here?
I think just what you said, it's great to see corporations realizing the benefit of language and culture. Employees who are moving, and even within the United States, you may move from California to Alabama. There is a culture shock. You have to look at things like that in that transitional service, and look to your suppliers to work together. Like I said, working together with our destination service partners and helping with transition and language and culture. Look at it holistically, all as one, because they need all those services.
Love it. Thank you so much,
Ben.
Heather. Thanks
I'll
for
see
being
you later.
here with us.
Yes, thanks for
Heather
having me.
Jamison, Global LT. We've only got a couple guests left on this marathon edition of Love and Relo. We've got my dear friend Hosea Botley from WERC Global Relocation. How are you doing, Hosea?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
Oh man, if I was any better, I don't know what they would do. They'd kick me out of here. Move on up to the mic, man. Let's get close in here.
All right.
Let's get close in here.
We all good?
I don't think you're close. Let's get close.
Right,
you know what? These chairs, they give us these cushy chairs, man. We're so fancy these days here. Yeah, man. So how's Boston treating you, man?
Lobster rolls are treating me quite well.
Have you eaten all the lobsters? Are there any lobsters left for the rest of us?
I don't know, man.
That's what we want to know.
I don't know.
It's not your job, right? Your job is to eat them, not to restock the lobsters.
I think I lost count.
Did you know that there's a law on the books that says you can only feed a prisoner lobster 3 days a week here?
No, I was not aware of that.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was important to note. What's going on in the international moving space, man? I know your company is one of the leading international household goods movers in the world. I know you also do a lot of domestic small shipment moving as well for both corporations and government agencies. So you have like kind of a unique position where you get to look at the marketplace and let us know what's going on. So what are you seeing out there?
Well, I mean, besides from the areas that are pretty tough terrain right now, the Ukraine and right now,
I think that's putting it mildly.
Israel and these places like that,
Oh my gosh, what's the deal in Israel right now? Everybody knows.
It's so
everybody
sad.
knows about the news and everything. But what's happening from a moving standpoint?
Well, right now, I mean, we don't have anyone going into right now or moving out of.
Have they halted all movement? Is that like a government kind of thing, mandate?
I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they're going to get pretty close to that. If nothing else, they're getting everyone out. For us U.S. citizens, that I do know, and but it's just a sad situation all the way around.
Sure is.
But as far as Versal, the government, is still the government. We're still moving people, and that's great. Like everyone else, corporate volume is down. The small shipment program is doing great. But I opened the freight division, so.
Interesting.
So that have been something I've been wanting to do for a couple of years now. And
so how is freight different from household goods for the non in the know out there?
Honestly, I should have done freight from the start.
From the start. You know what they say? Freight don't cry. That's the difference, okay? Freight don't cry, all right?
Yeah, no. The freight division is really gaining a lot of traction, from a government perspective. We're just tying into some of our government entities that we're already working with, and they're utilizing us for the freight. So no, it's working out great, domestic and internationally. And I'm looking forward to continue to grow that division.
Well, I love the fact that you're diversified, because I'll be honest with you, the businesses out here that were not diversified going into this downturn took it on the chin the hardest.
Yeah.
Right. If you're only moving corporate household goods, you're down 30-40% right now,
if not more.
Right. If not more. But if you're diversified, if you're doing commercial services, if you're doing freight, if you're doing other things like that, you might only be down 5-10%.
Yeah.
I know some people that are flat, so right. I mean, I think that's smart, and they say the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is today, right? So it's like, should have started freight 20 years ago, but hey, you're starting it now and it's taking off for you.
It was just all about the timing. It has worked out really well. We're excited about the opportunities that are coming our way as far as freight and household goods, but I'm really excited about this freight division. Really excited about it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, you better keep coming to these worldwide ERC conferences when you become a big deal in the freight industry, man.
Yes.
I don't want to track you down.
That is a must. Come on, man. You know where to find me.
Let's put Jose's home address in the comments. No, that's cool, man. What are things people need to be thinking about if they're an RMC out there, or they're a corporate global mobility manager? What are some things that they need to be thinking about in terms of international shipping?
Well, right now, I just think that people need to continue to diversify their companies, their portfolio. But as far as the international shipping, right now things are, to me, is pretty calm according to other years that we've had. We're not seeing a lot of customs issues, or of course, cars are still cars when it comes to the EVs and stuff of that nature.
What's the deal with that, man? I mean, it's hard enough to ship a car internationally. You go to all these car carriers and you ask them, hey, can you ship a car to Germany, or can you ship a car internationally? And the answer 9 times out of 10 is no. So they end up coming to you. I know that. Well, what are some of the challenges with the cars these days?
I mean, some of them are beginning to loosen up a little bit, as long as you can designate them as hazmat,
okay.
But not all of them, not all of the carriers yet. They're not on board. So we'll just take it one step at a time. But we've also have a couple of accounts that highly advise their employee to sell the EV and buy something that can be shipped. And so we've seen that scenario a few times.
So they're still going to ship a car here and there. They're just the EVs. What is it about the EV that makes it so impossible to move
It's
that
the
thing?
battery, man.
The battery.
The battery. I mean, I don't know if you ever seen one on fire.
No,
but
thank God.
they are extremely, extremely hot. I mean, it's uncontrollable and very, very difficult to fight, you know,
Wow.
and to put out, you know. I don't know if there was a video out where they actually buried the EV that was on fire and it was still burning.
With no oxygen?
It's just that hot, man.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I get the risk. I get it. You know, that's a huge risk. And it's tough to fight if it's on a vessel, you know. It's a tough fire to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just
Being,
throw it
being in the Navy, I'll tell you, that's the last place you want
to
to
container
fire.
over the ship.
Yeah. That's the last place you want. Being in the Navy, you don't
You
want
ever
to fire.
see a fire on the boat?
Yes.
Where?
Yeah. USS Bellawood.
Wow.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, you can only run so far, right?
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Were y'all jumping off the ship, man? Were y'all jumping ship?
No, they got it.
They got it under
They got it
control?
contained pretty quick, you know.
Oh my gosh. What caught fire?
Fuel.
Fuel.
Real quick.
Oh,
real
gee.
quick. That guy was on it, man.
Gas fire. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He got it real quick.
Brutal. I know we gotta go kind of keep moving on here. We got Anadita Chaudhary about to check in with us here from USI Law. Hey, Viva Van Bakel, good to see you, Ben. Enjoy Boston. Thanks so much, Viva. Good to see you as well. Get in the comments, hit that like button as well. Jose, you want to leave us with a final thought here?
Yeah, final thought. Yes, I mean this amazing turnout here at ERC. I'm just really thrilled to be here and looking forward to the next ERC. And you know, really excited about the freight division. I'll end with that.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. It's going to be absolutely incredible. So much opportunity out there. It just goes to show you that we just have to look in different places. There is opportunity out there. You know, yes, there's headwinds. Of course, there's headwinds. There always will be. You know, that's what makes us strong. You know, they say tough times make tough people. You know, so just got to keep looking and get creative out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jose, you're an inspiration to us all.
Thank you,
Love
my
you,
friend.
man.
Thank
and
you.
I'll see you later.
All right.
Hopefully
Thank
some
you.
of these festivities. All right.
Let's
We've got
do it.
Anadita Chaudhary coming up here, the founder and managing attorney partner at the USI Law, my favorite business immigration law firm. How are you doing, Anadita?
Great.
So good to see you.
Likewise, Ben. Thank you so much
Oh
for
my
this
gosh.
opportunity.
I love seeing you here because you're always the star of an immigration
You're being very
panel.
kind.
You know,
Yeah.
no, it really, I don't understand half of it, to be honest with you, because your knowledge is so much deeper than my kind of cursory talk show host knowledge here. But every time we go and see people, they're always like, I saw you on that panel. There was a whole bunch of people there, and you were my favorite. Okay, this is what I hear from people all the time. So so what's going on in the world of immigration? What are we talking about on the panels today?
I guess the panel had one of the major concerns being addressed, which is because of the layoffs, because of the political uncertainty which 2024 brings for us immediately in the US, and then definitely some countries around the world, like one of the largest democracies, India, also has an upcoming election. So we were trying to address what do we do in this unpredictable economic and political environment to protect the talent, which is, you know, I feel the primary reason we are all here together in this symposium, you know? So that was one of the main focuses, and each speaker had their own angle, own interpretation, own contribution. So that was the essential overall gist of the immigration strategies that the panel was meant to be discussing.
Tell us a little bit about USI Law for people that may not know about your firm.
Absolutely. We are a global immigration law firm based out of the nation's capital. We are literally 15 minutes away from Washington, D.C. in Bethesda, Maryland. And
I've seen your offices. They're gorgeous.
You're
In
so
fact, we
kind.
did a Love and Reload from your office. Your brand new office is up there.
We
Phenomenal.
just moved to that space, like, I think days after.
Excellent.
you
Sleek,
came.
modern,
Yeah.
gorgeous.
And it gave us also an opportunity to double our space. So with the potential of growth, the space that we had was on the 4th floor of the same building, but this is now on the main floor, which literally gives us double the space to grow as far as employee and talent pool is concerned. So yeah, very excited to be in that space. But as a law firm, I do want to thank you for the opportunity to distinguish
Oh, of course.
ourselves or explain what we do differently. And that is immigration, in some parlances, I won't say in all parlances, has been viewed as something that has been a handicap or a problem or something people shy away from. And what we aspire to do to work with our partners and is on a daily basis to prove that it's a strategic advantage for a company. It should never be a disadvantage. And if you saw my choice of words intentionally when we talk about what would be clients, I cringe when I use the word clients because, I always say that, if I know you from 96, you're not a client, you're a friend.
Yeah.
It's a partnership.
And I feel that way when I talk to you and I
Mhm.
talk to Nafis and I talk to Jason, I talk to Nana, I talk to the whole team. There's such a warmth there.
I'm very
And
blessed. The team is amazing.
I love
and
it.
then the extended team that you met in DC, in
Yeah.
our offices, they're
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
So warm, so warm. And when I talk to your clients, they talk about the work product. They talk about the sheer depth of explanation and the just the supporting evidence that's included in the first submission. And I mean, these are the kinds of things I'm hearing just as we walk around and I spend time with you. Why do you put so much effort into these applications?
Because we don't view it as any other option. This is our commitment to the field. We at USI Law, we look at it from 3 different perspectives. One is the approval rates.
Yep.
We have humbly said industry leading approval rates. The 2 is our work product, exactly like you referenced, because we are aware of what the ingredients to a successful visa type of case will be, whether it's an H, whether it's an L, whether it's an EB1, EB2, EB3, O's,
Right.
P's, TNs, whatever it is. And we try to do it right the first time. So when we submit that petition to USCIS,
Well, you try to do it right the first time, but I mean, how is that different from how everybody else does it?
Well,
I mean,
the
I mean, it
next-
seems like
the
that's
next
the way
time-
to do it, right? I
the
mean,
next time I don't want to step out and get eggs thrown at me, but no.
well, you don't have to
You know,
name
you know,
names, but I
no,
mean, what
but,
are you seeing
it
out
is,
there?
It is sad because it's just sometimes I respect the fact technology is a big component of what we do, but within that, AI cannot do everything. I mean,
Right.
yeah, a bot can complete a form, but there has to be some effort made by the law firms or whoever, if you have an in-house team, to prepare the support letters, which is the meat of the legal argument that a company or a petitioner is making
Okay.
to justify why this foreign national and this talent is so required for this company and therefore the market,
Sure.
whatever. So those are the additional efforts that we put in from the get-go. And that's, I think, humbly what makes a difference. And most importantly, you know this about us, is to us, every petition is represented with a human being behind it, a family behind it. I say it could be a single person, it could be his or her spouse, it could be his or her family. So, there's an unconscionable level of responsibility we all have in this global mobility space to protect that talent. I mean, on the panel, we were talking that, now if you're even laying off somebody, which is another very difficult thing to do, but the attitude should not be, oh, you know what, sorry, didn't work out. Here's your return transportation ticket. See ya.
Right.
No, there has to be that collaboration to still help through the transition. And we work with our clients to collaborate and come up with creative alternatives, if there are any, because human beings don't forget, because it's the same talent pool. Today the talent might be shortlisted, but 3 years down the line, what if you need that guy or you cross paths? You know how small the world
Yeah.
is. You'll cross paths and, they will remember how well or not so well you treated them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. And, one of the things that I'm also struck by when I speak to you and to Nafis, it's how personal this is for you, right? It's
Absolutely is.
not business, it's personal.
Absolutely. Yes.
And one of the things he said to me was, as an immigrant, who would I want my case
Yes.
be? Who do I want to work my case?
Yes.
And if I can't look at everybody in the firm
100%.
and say I would trust my case with that person,
Yes.
then they can't be here.
He always asks that question. 100%.
And I think what an amazing way to look at it, because
Yes.
I met a guy one time that ran a moving company, and he said the first interview is the receptionist. So when
Yes.
you come in, you hand your resume to her. I
Yes.
go to her, and I don't even talk to you. I go to her and I say, would you let this guy in your house to pack your stuff? And if the answer is no, then stop,
Yep.
full stop.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I absolutely love that. And I think that the fact that, you and Nafis and so many people at the firm are immigrants yourself,
Yes.
and have lived
Yes.
this experience.
110%.
I mean, how does that inform the way that you work and the way that you operate?
It totally makes the passion so organic.
Yeah.
And we're also blessed with a considerable members of our team who might be second generation, third generation, people who are privileged like you, where their grandparents came over, whatever the history of the story of the family may be. But we're blessed with a team, or we try to inculcate that culture
Yeah.
in our firm where we say, guys, please, please, please pay attention to this petition. It just doesn't only reflect your work product, which should be something you should be proud of,
Right.
but it touches lives. And, a wrong date of birth, a spelling error, or a wrong strategy ruins the petition and ruins that person's opportunity, ruins the company's opportunity. It's a no-brainer, and we train them accordingly. That's something we definitely invest in. And all in all, the work product, after all this investment, should be the best work product that this professional should produce.
So then there's been a lot of talk about technology in the immigration space, right? And we know that immigration is extraordinarily paper heavy, old school in that way. I mean, I think a lot of stuff gets mailed still, right?
Yes.
I mean, I see sometimes on
Yes.
TikTok, I see some of these things,
Mhm.
and they're showing this amount of documentation involved in these things, right? And what is the place for technology in the immigration process, and where should it not be?
I think technology, you're absolutely right. There is absolutely an advantage to technology. And the part that technology contributes significantly is where, if there are forms or something that you need to get completed, which there are a lot of, that I could confidently see a bot would probably do better than a human being,
Mhm.
because you will export, the bot can be programmed to export the passport number from a particular portion of the passport, the I-94 card number, the name, whatever. But then I guess what the bot cannot do, or even I humbly disagree with the AI concept of it. What AI cannot do is suddenly come up with what would be the legal argument or the letters. Now, in our firm, we put a lot of value to that. I don't know, depending on which firm, structures their paperwork, whichever way. But that angle of it has to have some human connection, some human touch. And most importantly, what technology cannot do is, the connection with the client. That no machine can replace. And that is what's so needed, especially in an immigration case. I mean, we have a rule in our firm that, every email should be responded to ideally in 24 hours, like a business day. And, even if you don't know the answer, just write back and say, hey, I'm looking into it, so that the person
Yeah.
sending it knows that somebody cares.
That's one of the biggest complaints I hear around immigration is people just aren't getting clear and transparent communication. And then it's leaving the consumer of the services, the employee,
Absolutely.
to kind of freak out, right? Because then they're left to their own devices and they just start freaking out. And of course, what's the first thing we do when we're scared? We go to Google and start Googling, what does this mean? And
Exactly.
what do I have to do? And then I hear there's even these internet chat boards that employees get on and start comparing notes about things. And, you can really spiral out of control in the absence of clear, transparent communication. Very interesting.
That's not something we should be able to compromise on.
Yeah.
Especially in the business that we are in.
I mean, some of this stuff is basic, right? But it takes human beings. It takes people on staff. And when we start to automate people out of the business, we don't have those kind of emergency stopgaps in those people to support the people, the human beings, as you like to say,
Yeah.
that are moving.
See, like I can understand having an automated process to let them know your case was filed, or
Sure.
let them know that, we will let you know in 2 weeks once the receipt comes, or this is the USCIS case status link. Once the receipt comes, we'll share it with you. You can check it up yourself. I get all that. But beyond that, when there are issues, there's an age out problem. The child is turning 21, or a max out problem. The professional is towards the end of his H6-year H1 visa or L. When there are real issues, no bot can do that. You have to get on the phone.
Yeah.
And that's what the partnership is all about. And that's
Yeah.
what, the company's trusting you with.
Yep. Wonderful. And Aditya,
Thank
this
you.
has been phenomenal. It's been a great, first full day here. I
Yes.
know we kind of got started last
Congratulations,
night.
Ben.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
2 hours we've been on air here
Seriously.
talking to folks, all the brightest minds in the global mobility space.
Thank you.
Why don't you leave us maybe with just a final thought to wrap up here?
Immigration, as we all know it, we're blessed to be in this country, and I'm specifically addressing America, the United States of America. We are blessed to be immigrants in varying capacities in this country. And I think in the context of the symposium that we are attending, we should not. In our varying capacities, we are here with different responsibilities, but around the same focus of addressing or helping the movement of talent across the world. And that being given our mandate, we should not forget who we are working for, and should do everything we can on a daily basis to do the best job we possibly can.
Yeah. And it seems obvious, but it bears repeating, because I remember even when I was working in a moving company, they start to all look like files, the
100%.
cases all start to look like just pieces of paper. And then one day it's your case.
Exactly.
One day it's your move.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden every piece of furniture becomes the most important thing
And what
in
if,
your life.
like, your grandfather's date of birth was messed up? What if
Yeah.
your grandfather's
Yeah.
name was messed up, or something was wrong in
Yeah.
the petition? Would you even be here?
Yeah.
Your whole family trajectory might be different.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Lots to think about there. And Aditya, this is
Thank you, Ben.
fantastic. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so much,
being
Ben.
here.
Always
And
grateful.
thanks everybody for hanging in there and watching today. It's been phenomenal. We will be back with you tomorrow. We have 2 shows. We're going to be on at 4 o'clock Eastern tomorrow, interviewing more amazing minds from global mobility live here in Boston at the Global Workforce Symposium, right outside the expo hall. We're going to see a horde of people coming out, going to dinner soon. And tomorrow, we're also doing a live from the Party with a Purpose by the Workforce for Mobility Foundation. So stay tuned for all that tomorrow. It's going to be amazing. Take care, everybody. Thanks for getting in there. Hit that like button.